In a medieval village, long before factories, engines, or electricity, there was one place that never truly slept. From early dawn until the sky turned dark and cold, a steady ringing echoed through narrow dirt streets and timber frame houses. The sound of iron striking iron carried across fields and into cottages. It was the sound of survival. At the center of that sound stood the blacksmith. Life as a medieval blacksmith was not glamorous. It was not the shining image of heroic swords and noble knights alone. It was heat that scorched the lungs, smoke that stung the eyes, and labor that bent the spine. It was a life measured in hammer blows, in glowing metal, and in aching muscles that rarely had time to heal. The forge was the heart of the blacksmith's world. It was usually a modest stone or wooden structure with a wide doorway to let out smoke and let in light. Inside, the air was thick and warm even in winter. Charcoal burned in a deep fire pit, and a pair of large leather bellows fed air into the flames, making them roar hotter and brighter. The fire could glow deep red, then orange, and sometimes nearly white when the iron was ready to be shaped. Iron was stubborn. It did not melt easily. It had to be heated until it softened just enough to bend under force. The blacksmith would grip the glowing metal with heavy tongs, place it on the anvil, and begin striking it with a hammer. Each strike had purpose. Each strike shaped the future of that piece of iron. The anvil stood solid and unmoving, usually mounted on a thick wooden stump. It was scarred from years of work. Around it lay tools of every kind, hammers of different weights, chisels, punches, files, and buckets of water for cooling metal. The floor was scattered with black dust and bits of scrap iron. The walls were darkened by smoke. The blacksmith's day began before most villagers were awake. The fire had to be relit or fed so that work could start quickly. Farmers would arrive early, carrying broken plow blades or bent tools. A cracked hinge on a barn door needed fixing. A cart wheel needed iron reinforcement. Horses required new shoes. The village depended on iron, and iron depended on the blacksmith. Contrary to popular imagination, swords were not the main focus of his work. Most days were spent making simple but essential items. Nails were always needed for construction. Hinges and locks secured homes and storage chests. Plowshares were critical for farming. Axes cut wood for fuel and building. Every household relied on iron tools in some way. During times of peace, the work was steady but predictable. During times of war, everything changed. Suddenly, the forge filled with the demand for spearheads, arrowheads, shield fittings, and occasionally swords. The blacksmith might work even longer hours, the pressure rising with each request. A poorly made weapon could fail in battle, and that failure could cost a life. Becoming a blacksmith was not easy. Most began as apprentices when they were still boys. Parents would send their sons to live with a master smith. In exchange for years of labor, the apprentice received food, shelter, and knowledge. The early years were filled with menial tasks: pumping the bellows until arms trembled, sweeping the floor, carrying coal, observing carefully. Learning the craft required patience. The apprentice had to understand how metal behaved at different temperatures. Too cold, and it would crack. Too hot, and it might burn or lose strength. The timing of each hammer strike mattered. The angle of the blow mattered. Even the sound of the metal could tell an experienced smith whether the work was going well. The physical toll of the job was immense. The constant hammering built strong arms and broad shoulders, but it also wore down joints. Wrists, elbows, and shoulders ached from repetition. The back bent forward over the anvil for hours at a time. Burns were common. Sparks flew unpredictably, landing on skin or clothing. Small scars marked the hands and forearms of nearly every experienced blacksmith. The smoke was another enemy. Charcoal fires produced thick fumes that filled the workshop. Over time, many blacksmiths developed chronic coughing and breathing difficulties. They did not understand the cause scientifically, but they knew the forge air was harsh. Yet they continued, because stopping meant losing income. Despite the hardship, the blacksmith held an important place in the community. He was not a noble, but he was respected. Without him, farmers could not repair their tools. Builders could not complete structures. Travelers could not shoe their horses. His skill gave him a certain independence. While peasants worked land owned by a lord, a blacksmith often controlled his own workshop and tools.